Ghanatube so we have for model snowy. Masan so atenasibio in some ahodo kobenina nsa ebeka ewo channel we so enti ntempa no so mennom enkwan no enja fonti ye be hakotie in some ahodo bi ekoso ewo Ghanaians na yaba.
In other news, President John Dramani Mahama has directed the Greater Accra Regional Minister and other development agencies to demolish structures on waterways. This directive came after the President inspected ongoing works on drainage systems and flood-prone areas within the Accra metropolis.
During his tour, Mahama visited several sites including the Abofu-Achimota Bridge, Malam Junction and the Odona in Circle. He emphasized the need to fast-track the Accra Academy main drain system to prevent flooding in areas like Kaneshi, Bubuashi and its environs. The president also advised settlers and residents to take precautions and avoid littering, which can choke drains and cause flooding.
If you build and block a stream, the water will still come. But when it comes and it can't pass, what will it do? It will flood its banks. That's all that is happening in this city. And that's why we're asking the regional minister and the district chief executives to take a very tough stand on people whose properties are blocking waterways, because they're creating distraction for other people's properties and even loss of lives. Sometimes when it floods heavily, we lose human lives. And so it's not because we don't have a sympathy for people like that, but we must enforce the bylaws. And the point is, the assembly here, how did you sit and allow this to happen? How did the assembly allow this to happen? And that's why you have the chief executive, you have assembly members. They must be conscious of all this.
With the rainy season approaching, Mahama urged Judge Master to speed up the operations.
I would have thought that the contractors would take advantage of the dry season and work as quickly as possible so that we would have been ahead with these projects by now. But unfortunately, that hasn't happened. And so we just have to caution citizens of Accra that there's going to be severe flooding because of the delay in these projects. But we have to do everything to alleviate destruction of property and loss of life as much as possible. But I've charged the Garrid Secretariat and the Hydrology Section and the Ministry to pay constant attention to make sure that all the projects that have been awarded under Garrid to make Accra resilient from flooding.
This directive is part of Mahama's efforts to address the issue of flooding in Accra, which has been a perennial problem in the city. By demolishing structures on waterways, the government aims to prevent flooding and protect lives, homes and properties.
Now, entity concession, multiple lease and service franchise. These are the options the Mahama government must choose from on its plans to privatize the operations of the Electricity Company of Ghana and NEDCO. It follows the submission of the final report by the 7-member committee tasked with finding the most efficient means to allow for private sector participation. Mawana Egbeta has more on this story.
Over the last 2 months, the committee met with over 280 individuals and up to 35 institutions, all aimed at arriving at the best possible path to private sector participation in Ghana's energy distribution mix. The committee's investigative work will reveal teething challenges within ECG's operation, some of which have become subject of public discourse.
2 of those challenges have to do with the administrative setup of ECG. 3 of them have to do with operational issues, and another 3 have nothing to do with ECG at all. They are outside ECG's control, and the last one, the 9th one, is half and half. Now, some of those internal administrative things are to do with governance and management. I mean, it is mild to say that there is a problem with the governance and management at ECG.
On privatization, 3 modules have been offered to government, from which it must make a decision.
An outright concession for the entire ECG. So that will be very similar to what was tried in 2019. The PDS is along that line. The other one is to break the ECG down into various sections, 4 or 5 units, and let each operate or award each to a private company to lead the operation. That is the option B that we are talking about. Then there's an option C. The option C focuses on the customer experience and how to improve the service to the customer and make sure that the collections and everything are up to speed.
Energy Minister pledged swift action on the report while insisting on transparency in the process.
The next step from here will be to do a position paper to Cabinet for the entire government to consider and approve the option that we will be pursuing, following which we would establish a project implementation committee. We would also have to get a transaction advisor, make this process as transparent and open as possible, with emphasis on local content and participation. And so we encourage everyone to support us and to ensure that we deal with the challenges confronting the distribution sector.
Some committee members are expected to as well contribute to the implementation process once Cabinet approves of the way forward.
Let's bring you some details on the 3 options that Mawina mentioned in that report as to the options available to government with regards to the privatization of ECG. The first one is the entity concession approach. Here, government grants a private company the exclusive right to operate, maintain, and invest in the entire electricity distribution network within a defined geographical area for a specific period, which is often between 20 to 30 years. This approach, if you will recall, was adopted in the botched PDS deal. There's also the multiple lease approach. Here, the electricity distribution network is geographically or functionally divided into several distinct areas or segments. The right to operate and manage each of these segments are then leased out to different private sector companies. Each company would be responsible for the distribution business within its assigned area. Ownership of the assets would remain with the government. And lastly, there's the service franchise approach. With this one, the private sector's involvement is focused on the last mile of electricity distribution. The low voltage network directly serves residential and small commercial customers. The private company would operate and maintain this part of the network, including meter reading, billing, collection, and customer service. The high and medium voltage network might remain under state control or a different form of private sector arrangement. So these are the 3 options available to government when it comes to the privatization of ECG.
And still on privatization of the power distributor, and U.S. Ambassador to Ghana, Virginia Palmer, says she will support government's bid to resuscitate the Millennium Challenge Cooperation Power Compact with the U.S. government. President Mahama has hinted on plans to re-engage in the development cooperation to help finance a turnaround of the country's energy sector. Ambassador Palmer tells journalists they will do what it takes to make Ghana eligible for a 3rd compact.
The President and I have common cause on this, and we've had talks even during the campaign about the importance of this. He was in office when the Millennium Challenge Compact was first designed. Ghana should be a poster child for the Millennium Challenge Compact. It does govern well on behalf of its people. I was very sad. It was right before my time, but when that tranche was canceled, I was sad for a number of reasons. The first is that, you know, that reform of ECG was very necessary, and that was something that came up in the National Economic Dialogue, was the fact that ECG is essentially losing $2.2 billion a year, which is equivalent to or more than what you get from the IMF. So that needs to be reformed, clearly. So I was pleased to see President Mahama, you know, make that a priority immediately upon taking office. Even during the campaign, he went and met with MCC. And said that basically he would do what it takes to make Ghana eligible for a 3rd compact.
ya hagotie ensem a ekoso ewo online fa comment ehukimi ewo comment section na menjebre enkinkan enfama ofefe meka obiom se aha eye Ghanatube so open sem ahodo eni akese a fa wani twemu ewo channel we so there more reason obetimi enya nsem no anaze obetimi atenia ekoso quickly no is by subscribing and also hitting on the notification bell. Ebusianfo modofo snow ni sisi ade makram.